My last couple videos have been about how the Department of Justice is out there beating their chest and claiming to be the most pro-Second Amendment Department of Justice in U.S. history, super low bar. The general consensus out there is folks are basically saying, okay, well, you're going to say that, but prove it. And you can see that proofed out by them getting ruthlessly ratioed on everything that they've been putting out lately. It's pretty good to see. People are sending the message to the Department of Justice, you talk a good game, but have you actually shown us any proof of that? Well, I have in front of you today a historic opportunity for the Department of Justice to do just that. And what we need to happen is for you to let them know about it. We're talking about violations of the First, Second, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendments, all in one case. This is waiting for them to launch a criminal investigation into these government officials that have violated a young man's rights. Just because you carry a gun or a knife or pepper spray or taser, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, does not mean that you are insured to come out of that situation 100% uninjured, or other people for that matter. So it is, I think, my duty to remind you that you should be carrying medical equipment in your vehicles, in your on your person, and you should have multiple kits in your house and all that sort of stuff. And my one-stop shop for all things medical is Medical Gear Outfitters. We have a discount code with those folks that you should use to great effect to get that stuff at a reasonable rate so you guys can get yourself squared away. Special thanks to Medical Gear Outfitters for making today's video possible. Second Amendment Foundation has filed a new lawsuit in federal court, Harrington v. Crawford. Plaintiff is Jack Harrington, an 18-year-old high school senior. Back in April, was minding his own business. I mean, we've all been seniors in high school. Suddenly just gets ripped out of class, sent to the principal's office. Principal, vice principal, superintendent, and school resource officer interrogate him. Said, hey, we want to go out and search a truck. He says, absolutely not. No, I do not consent to a search. They take him out into the parking lot. And they say, we're going to search your vehicle no matter what you say. Doesn't matter. He refuses. They break into the vehicle. And they find nothing in his vehicle. Turns out that previously that month, he had had a conversation with a friend of his about a traffic stop that he had had. He informed the officer that he had a legally acquired and lawfully carried firearm in the glove compartment of that vehicle, and, nothing for it. That got twisted around, got through the rumor mill to the school faculty, and they violated his constitutional rights. And my first question is, to what end? Because remember that New Hampshire is a constitutional carry state. 18 years old, if you can gain possession of a handgun legally in the state, then you can carry that weapon. Doesn't matter where you are. You have a right to do it. Now, he can't bring that weapon into the school. He says that he never brought a gun to school. He didn't have the weapon in his glove compartment anyway. But even if he had, to what end? What does that matter? There was no threat. There was no complaint. They even contacted the young man's parents and asked if they could authorize the search of the vehicle, and they refused. And they went ahead and violated his constitutional rights anyway. Being public about exercising your private rights cannot be grounds for being harassed and searched on campus. SAF Director of Legal Operations, Bill Sack, based. If simply being a gun owner is legal justification to be harassed and searched by authorities, what would stop them from submitting gun owners like Jack to searches every day? And what's their proposed solution to avoid that abuse? That he sells his privately owned firearm? Exactly right. Just because somebody owns a firearm does not mean that they are subject to additional scrutiny for exercising that constitutional right. That does not mean that you have a right to violate any of their constitutional rights just because they have chosen to exercise one of those rights. It doesn't work that way. The lawsuit alleges multiple violations of multiple codes, and they all kind of boil down to, we can go after you directly for violating somebody's constitutional rights. The suit names the superintendent of the school, the principal, the vice principal, and the school resource officer in this one. And I would like to first off say that every single one of these people ought to lose their job in addition to this lawsuit. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, Madam Assistant Attorney General, the people expect that since you've been out there beating your chest about how you've got the Second Amendment task force and
who's protecting the Second Amendment in the federal government,
we expect you to launch a criminal investigation into this incident. Do the happenings in this case constitute criminal behavior? And if so, then we expect indictments. And if found guilty, we expect them to be punished to the fullest extent permissible by law. We are sick and tired of these death by 1,000 cuts, these people that are making small moves here and there to subvert and undermine people's civil rights in this country. You pledged that that is what you were going to end in these positions. Go do it. We've handed it to you on a silver platter. And if you, the viewer, resonate with this message, then I would humbly ask that you blast this out on every social media platform that is available. The message needs to be sent. Never before in American history have you, the people, had the ability to change policy with a tweet. Right now, the Department of Justice is rightfully hurting on their Second Amendment reputation because they haven't done a good job. These self-righteous activists that believe that their views are superior, that their positions on guns and whatever else trumps the Constitution, and that they should rule and that they should be able to use their power with impunity, must end. And we demand that something be done about it. Real quick update also while I have you guys. So I was on the phone this morning with a fellow FFL trying to help them navigate some of the e-forms problems that are going on right now. You guys may or may not be switched on to this, that because the government is shut down right now, apparently e-forms is not working because there's nobody there to process any of the paperwork. Well, it turns out we just got word from Gun Owners of America that that all of the examiners are being recalled to duty. So the folks that are in charge of doing all the paperwork have to return so they can process NFA forms. And that's important. I was kind of hoping, I want people to get their stuff, right? But I was kind of really hoping that they would miss that one and that they wouldn't call them back. And they would just let them run and that this thing would run for a while. Because remember that in the last funding bill, if those electronic forms go over 60 days, then ATF loses like half of their funding. And I was really hoping. But the good news is those of you who have Form 4s and Form 1s in, they'll get processed, I suppose. Personally speaking, I would prefer that them sit on it for 60 days so that I can be like, look, take the funding, take it all. Sometimes things require a little bit of sacrifice, guys. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys today.